What's up, y'all? Thank y'all for checking us out, man. We are live backstage at the Laughing Skull Lounge here in Midtown Atlanta. I got my boy Earth, my co-host, and we got a very special guest for this inaugural episode of Laughing About Podcast. We got the one and only, the owner, the originator of the Laughing Skull Lounge here in Midtown Atlanta. Thank you. Come doing, brother. Good morning. Damn, you know he's responsible for bringing so many laughs and so many smiles, nothing but goodness to the area.
That's what I do, man. I tip homeless people. That's my thing.
Yeah. The homeless people don't give a damn what you doing. As long as you tip them, you could be over here doing all kind of crimes. As long as you break them off. So how you doing, man? Welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me, man. I'm excited to be a part of it. It's always good to hang out with you, man.
Absolutely. So a lot of people don't know you're a comedian yourself.
That's right.
How long you been doing comedy?
24 years.
24 years.
Actually starting at the end of 99. So like very end of 99, like December of 99. So 24 and a half years, man.
So at what point, because I think everybody has a transition period in comedy.
Yes.
Whether they want to become a comedian, you start as a comedian.
Correct.
But whether you want to start as a comic and go into acting, whether you want to start as a comic and go into whatever it is, what got you interested in the business side of comedy?
The business side of show business?
Yeah.
Well, I started off as a road comic, and I actually started dating my wife in October of, so it was 00, that's right. It was October of 00. Started stand-up in December of 00, and then I started off as a road comic. She would go on the road with me a lot, and I knew this was the one I wanted to marry. And there were several conversations where she sit me down, like, fucking, when you do the road as a, feature act in Southeast USA, it sucks, right? So we were staying in these hotels with black mold and all kinds of crazy shit. Yeah. And there were several conversations like, hey, this isn't what I signed up for. And I was like, all right, man. So I was like, how can I perform stand-up and sleep in my own bed at night? And that's what I built. And so that's the whole purpose behind it. So I was like, I wanted to just be able to, and I got to, coach Little League Soccer, Little League Baseball, take my kids to school, or get on stage as much as I want. I don't give a shit about being famous. Like if you go to my TikTok, it has one video, and I don't care. I mean, I just want to perform and be a family man. But now that my kids are about out of the house, I'm like, all right, is this it now? Because I always thought, like back then, I was like, it's not a fucking Olympic sport. Right? Dangerfield didn't get back into it till he was 49 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He was selling insurance or something like that.
Siding, house siding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? It's meant to be. It's meant to be. And I'm going to focus on being a dad and a family man and write my jokes and, all that good shit. Because, I mean, being a road comic sucks, dude. Like, you go to these gigs down in South Georgia, the worst thing that can happen to you is that they ask you back.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
I can't say facts, though, because I'm still on the road, and South Georgia pays me okay, so shout out to South Georgia sometimes.
Dude, I had so many shitty gigs. I remember one time I was in this redneck bar, South Georgia, and
was it Moultrie? I'm just where my dad from.
And these guys are shooting pool. The manager goes over, takes all the pool balls, fucking pulls them inside and says, comedy show's about to start. Points me and goes, okay, you're up. Oh, fuck. So these guys were mad at me. I was like, oh, God, there's stuff like that. Of course, there's plenty of great memories, but there's also a lot of, like, what am I doing to myself?
Yeah. I started in L.A., and if you could tell jokes while the Laker game on in East Atlanta, Mexican people, boy, it's two things they love. It's the Lakers and Denzel Washington. Oh, and God. Yeah. If you could tell jokes during the Laker game and survive, you got a chance at a career in comedy.
That's good.
So South Georgia, yeah, man. So did you ever run into because you said your wife, she was like, this ain't it.
Yeah.
Cheap hotels. And what you say? Irv got a saying, any hotel you could pull up to the front door.
Yeah.
What they doing in that hotel?
You need to get me that.
I recently, my dad went on the road with me, right? And my dad is like, man, when your parent tells you they proud of you, that's a feel-good moment, right?
Absolutely.
So we driving down to Ocala. I'm going doing Porky's, and that should have let him know by the name of the gig.
In Ocala.
Yeah, in Ocala. Pull up hotel. Bed was so hard. My dad still getting on me about that shit. It was one of the beds that you could put a quarter in and it vibrate.
Right.
My dad was like, "Bitch, I'm a spend $50 trying to sleep at night." Man, my dad was like, I thought she was doing good in college. You need to come on the cruise ship with me. All right, so you just started you had another club first, so was...
Yeah. So then I was able to get a management position at a club called the Funny Farm Comedy Club up in Roswell. It was inside an entertainment complex called Star Time Entertainment. And it was like Star Time Entertainment was like a Dave and Buster's. If Dave was a crystal meth head. It was bad. And
bad.
And so then the guy that owned it wanted to get out of it, and so he sold it to me because I worked for him for like 6 months. He didn't pay me. And he's like, "Hey, how about instead of me, catching up with you, you could just take it over?" So I got it for free, and
That worked out.
yeah, it was just the door though. It wasn't like I owned the chairs or shit like that. That was the entertainment complex. But so I did that that was from like 2003 until 2009.
Okay.
And that's when I opened Laughing Skull Lounge, was in February of 2009. And then Star Time Entertainment got shut down by the IRS in April of 2009. That was an interesting experience.
That's comedic timing right there,
Right?
So,
Oh, yeah. So it's like, it's headshots.
Right.
The comedians gave them to me. He's like, "You have receipts to show them that they're yours in that Star Times?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, you can't take them." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, that was kind of serious, but that was the worst part that was not the worst part of it. But isn't that, I mean, like, IRS comes to shut down, they take everything, including the fucking headshots.
Hell. So this was comedians somewhere in your headshot, so in the government IRS office.
Yeah, but those are some good memories, man. The Funny Farm days. I mean, I worked with a lot of big names because that was when we were going up against the Punchline, and Star Time Entertainment was doing very well. And so we were overpaying for comics, and we got like Tommy Chong, we got all kinds of big names that came through there, and so then at the end, when I saw the writing on the wall was when the comedy club was supporting the entertainment venue. I was like, wait a minute, the tail can't support the dog. Right. And so that's when I started looking around, and really what I was wanting to do was open like a 400-seat club in Buckhead. And every day I was working on it. I, had a pregnant wife and a 3-year-old, and figuring it all out. And then I talked to this guy at his hotel trying to get numbers together for how much it would cost to get hotels. And he said, what size room are you looking for? I said, about 400. And he goes, "Oh." And the way he said "oh" made me say, "Why? Why do you ask?" And he goes, "Oh, I know about this room that's like 100 seats in Midtown. It's too small for you." And I'd already run all the numbers because I was so fucking desperate, man. I was like, "Can I do it with 80 seats? Can I do it with good?" And I was like, "I'll still check it out." And it was this place.
Sweet.
And so then it turned out some of my friends had already done a comedy show here. They'd done one show.
Okay.
And I didn't know that at the time. And so I started talking to the owners, and they go, "Oh, we did a comedy show here." I was like, "Oh, really?" And I find out about it. So we're going to get a bid from both of you guys. It was me and these other two guys. And I was friends with them. I kept going to them going, "Hey, man, let's talk. Maybe this is something we can do together." And the guy goes, "Marshall, you're basically saying, hey, you're going to fuck my girlfriend and you expect me to watch it." And I go, "Well, if you're going to use the girl analogy, you've gone out on her with one date. Right. And now you're fucking stalking her. Right. She and I met separately and we're hitting it off, and you're going to have to accept this."
Yeah, you are. So they still want to watch.
Dang. So let me ask you a question here. So during this whole time, are you doing comedy full time or you got another job?
I was all full time. No, wait. Yeah, it was full time at that point. It was all full time at that point, and it was, that was it, man. I was doing.
You must have been making decent money there to buy the rooms and
Well, what do you mean by buy the rooms?
I mean, like we said, most people right now, most comedians, if you say, okay, well, we got a room that you could start paying a monthly lease on,
right?
Most comedians would not be able to afford that room.
Correct. Well, so I've worked a deal out to where, like, here they get the alcohol sales and I get the door. So that's the deal. So it's like, okay, I just have to come in, and believe me, it was still freaking stressful, dude. It was very, very stressful that first year. I was working till 2 a.m. Every night, getting up at 6 with the kids. So I was getting like 3 or 4 hours sleep the first year this place was open because I was busting my ass doing everything. And I remember several times my wife Laura coming down at 1 a.m. and was like, "Are you sure? are you sure? And I was like, I have no fucking other choice. I have to make this work.
Right.
And I mean, we blew through our credit cards. We blew through whatever little savings. I didn't pay sales tax. I was fucking skimming by. And I had very little investment money. It was from 2 friends of mine that just believed in me. I couldn't get any other money. And I remember I was sitting there one day and I was like, I got to get $40,000 to keep this place going. How can I get $40,000 from one investor? Or how can I get 4 $10,000 investments? Or how do I get 2,000 people to give me $20?
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it. I'm going to focus on ticket sales. And that's what I did. I just doubled down and focused on ticket sales, and this kind of figured it all out from there. But it was super, super stressful, dude. I'm only 28 years old.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was really tough, man. I mean, entrepreneurship and business ownership is fucking tough for a reason, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weeding out game. Like, can you fucking work 80 to 100 hours a week on no pay for a year?
Yeah.
Let's see what you do.
Yeah. So, theme music.
What was some of the tactics you used to increase the ticket sales?
Man, I was doing everything. I made stickers and I slapped them all over. This isn't funny. I slapped them all over stop signs in Midtown, Laughing Skull Lounge, and then one day a cop came in with a baggie, like a Ziploc baggie with some of them in there. He was like, I need to talk to the person that's been doing this. And I was standing right there and like, oh, that's him. That's the guy that's the Laughing Skull Lounge. And I was like, oh. And they go, yeah, you are not allowed to be doing this. This is vandalism. And I'm like, oh, I hired a new guy that did this, and he didn't know. He's a college kid, so I'm sorry about that. He goes, well, you're still responsible. So he gave me a ticket. I go to court. I had to go to court for this.
Yeah.
And I go to court, City of Atlanta, and I was like, yeah, it was me. I told him it was a college kid that did it that I'd hired. And they go, okay, you're going to have 30 days sentence. And there's like a 15-second pause, and there's a gasp, a literal gasp in the audience. The audience, the courtroom. And then she goes, but it's suspended if you do these 40 hours of community service. So I was going around cleaning up Midtown in one of those jumper suits, cleaning up shit for people.
But passing out flyers. I just cleaned up the trash.
So I was doing everything. I mean, that's how my initial I got. And then I would just do like street teams, and just kind of doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was a lot of internet marketing, a lot of really just hounding people on the street, like barking. Like I liked barking when I go to do gigs in New York, which barking, for those who don't know, is, hey, we'll give you 5 minutes, but you got to stand outside for 4 hours and pass out flyers to the show. Right. I had fun with that. I was doing everything and anything to make it work that didn't cost any money.
You, the true definition of a self-made, is self-made.
Yeah.
Heck. Well, so the Vortex was here when you took over?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And they were doing great. Vortex is a great restaurant. It's one of the top in the city. It's been on Man vs. Food like 4 times, So, yeah, they were already doing great. So that was it was another shoe-in of like, oh, here's an established business. And then it became a thing where, oh, you got to be cooler about Laughing Skull Lounge because we didn't fucking market. We didn't have marketing money. And so it was a lot of word-of-mouth stuff. And then I also knew the trick. I pulled in all my favors of bringing in a bunch of headliners. So like the first 2 years with a bunch of headliners.
Your comedy chops came.
That's right. But I was still losing. That's the thing. I was still losing $500 to $1,000 a week every week.
Got to pay the acts.
Because I got to pay the acts. And then I figured out, like, if I don't fly in feature acts and pay for the hotel, I'll just use a bunch of locals. But there's not enough locals that can do 30 minutes. But I can get 6 guys to do 5 minutes.
Right.
And that's where the showcase model started kind of flowing here. It was like, how can I save that $500 to $1,000? And that's kind of how that came about.
Okay. I got a question. We're going to go back a little bit, back to your days of strictly stand-up.
Okay.
I asked all comedians, got to give me a bomb story.
Well, so this is probably the best bomb.
The best bomb. I like this already.
Yeah.
So I get a call from Live Nation and say, hey, would you like to open up for Weird Al Yankovic at the Tabernacle? Ooh. And I'm like year 2.5 in. I'm like 2.5 years in. And I go, well, how much time do you need? They go, 20. And I go, and it needs to be clean. I go, like, just no cursing? I go, I got 20 minutes, but, are you okay with, but, what does clean mean? They go, just no cursing. I'm like, okay, great. I can do that. So I go down there. First time doing a theater gig. Tabernacle, sold out show. Weird Al Yankovic has 7 to 70. Like that's the age range to Weird Al. And so and at the time, I mean, I grew up on Lenny Bruce, so that's my comedy hero. And so I was all at the beginning of my comedy career. I was like, everybody's fucking stupid, blah 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 blah, you know, and all this shit. And so I get down there and I get nervous, so I start drinking, and then I'm talking to people, and they go, no, actually, before I started drinking, they go, hey, so listen, you know, you've got to be Disney clean, right? And I go, well, what the fuck does that mean? You know, because Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that you look at it one way.
Right.
And so I'm like, shit. Because I had Jesus jokes, I had NASCAR jokes, I had all kinds of just like edgier shit and so then I start drinking, and
That's where it fell apart.
That's where it's supposed to. I mean, I'm sober now, thank God. But so I get out there, and I'm just going as slow as possible, trying to get through it. And I do my Jesus jokes. Everybody goes along with it. Everybody's good, blah, blah, blah. And then I start getting to the NASCAR jokes. And that's when they turned on. They stopped laughing. And that's when I was like, well, I think Dale Earnhardt deserved to die.
Oh, God.
And they just fucking lost it. And then I tried to keep going. They booed me off the stage. And so I had to walk off the stage with a tail between my legs. And then Weird Al's manager gets on the mic and goes, we just want to let y'all know that Weird Al does not share the same views as the opening act.
Okay, I got a question. So how far into the set was it before you did
It was
NASCAR?
like 15 minutes, man. I was like at the 15-minute.
Oh, you were
20.
so
Oh, so close. I was there. And I was like, you fucking hung through the Jesus jokes, but as soon as it gets to NASCAR, that's too much.
Don't you? I love and hate that about comedy, because it's like you could push a line and they'll be with it, and then you say something that you think is innocent,
Correct.
and everybody's just they hands.
And I remember walking through the crowd. I had to walk through the fucking tabernacle to leave. And there was a black security guard, and he's on the phone. He's like, dude, I'm talking about girlfriend. Tell him what happened. This was the funniest fucking thing. So the staff loved me. And I called the guy that runs it, and I was like, hey, man, I want to apologize. He goes, what happened? And I told him. He started laughing. He goes, yeah, well, it happened. It's no big deal. And I was like, oh, okay. You know?
We won't have you back. But
Damn.
Yeah. That's my worst bombs. I have several, but that was the worst one for sure.
Hey, here go the most important part. Question: did the check clear?
The check. I'm owed $200.
That's a win. That's a win. You know, every comic has. You ain't doing comedy if you ain't got no good balls to live. So yeah. Thank you.
It's like mountain biking, man. If you get done mountain biking, you're not bleeding. What were you doing?
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, still. So now it's like Weird Al's a famous dude. He's in the piece. So every time I see Weird Al Yankovic, I just remember that moment of, we just want to let y'all know that Weird Al does not share the same views. So like that guy doesn't share the same views as me.
I've seen that happens quite often, especially when you are a known name, and you have to, because now a lot of comics bring their own features.
Yeah.
So they kind of control the narrative a little bit better.
That's right.
But back in that time, you know, in the 1800s when he was, no, just joking, but back in that time,
I had to perform through a megaphone.
yeah, you had the Mambo number 5 mic. Can't come to seal.
I give you your credit on doing that anyway, just because knowing that you are an edgier comic. If your hero is Lenny Bruce, and then you got to open up for Weird Al Yankovic, he did what I'm Bad, Michael Jackson. You know?
Yeah, I'm fat.
Yeah, I'm fat. He almost did Looney Tunes type of comedy, and you got to go up and like you know that crowd wants the silliest stuff, and you finna come up here with something.
Well, it was 100% of the idea that $200 meant a lot of money to me at that time.
Yeah.
And it was the tabernacle and all that shit. And also just being a green comic. Like, I didn't know. Like, knowing now, like, if I knew what I knew now, I would be like, no, I'm not going to do that to myself.
Yeah.
So nowadays, I mean, like, like I said, I'm not trying to be famous, so I get hit up all the time. I'm always passing that shit off.
Yeah.
You know, and now I know who to pass it off.
Shit, I always tell people, man, most of the work I've gotten in Atlanta has come from Marshall for recommendations to certain things. You know what I mean? So he is 100% right about that. I'm living testimony. Yeah, and I appreciate you for that.
Of course, man. I appreciate you.
So after all of these years of running a prominent business here in Midtown, What's the pros and the cons of being in Midtown?
The pros and the cons are the pros are the people that's down here, and the cons are the people that's down here.
True.
You know, I mean, it's, don't get me wrong, I love Midtown, but you know, I carry, you know, because I don't know, I'm fucking carrying even during the daytime. I mean, it's, you got to be careful. It's not even so much it's Atlanta. It's just the world these days, right? And there's a lot of great people down here. There's a lot of great culture and restaurants and other art facilities. Like, we're in the middle of, you know, the Miracle Mile that they call it down here. Starts at the Fox Theater and ends at the Hyde Museum, and we're at the halfway point. Right? There's all kinds of great stuff, and but at the same time, you know, got to watch over your shoulder. Like, I brought my kids down here sometimes, and last time they're down here, he and his friends were on their phone walking through. I was like, get off your fucking phone and start looking over your shoulder, because this is what they look for. And they're 15-year-old kids. They didn't know. And I was like, and so I'm teaching them a little bit of streetwise while we live in a fucking cul-de-sac in the burbs.
Yeah.
But you got to watch it, man, and you got to show that you're paying attention.
Right. Yeah. Got to be vigilant.
Yeah.
What's something that Midtown needs?
That's a great question, man. What does Midtown need? I think, you know, it needs a better mayor. It's like the court system here is just jacked up.
You spelled Atlanta wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's the political system here is just it's very fucked. I mean, you guys been watching the Young Thug trial, right?
Yeah.
Fucking kidding me, man.
That's good comedy too, by the way.
Oh my God,
It's on trial now.
If the judge is corrupt and not afraid, cameras are on this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And he's still breaking the law.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you know, it's just, that's why, you know.
I'll tell you one thing I think Midtown needs.
Strip club. I was getting ready to say the same thing, yeah.
Hooters is about to close down. We need titties.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
What the closest what? Cheetah?
The Cheetah.
The Cheetah.
The Cheetah is one of the best strip clubs in the city.
That's high end, though. We need to see some bullet wounds and stand.
Yeah.
Let them all,
You need some. Them bullet wounds in the heel. Them gonna be so old. Speaking of,
Shout out to Claremont.
you were telling us a story. You were about to tell us a story of how the Claremont Lounge came about.
Yeah, so Claremont Lounge, I'm friends with the owner because we've done a lot of parties there and hung out. And one night I was talking to her. Her name's Kathy. Great person. And we're talking. It's like, how'd you come up with this? She goes, oh, I got it given to me by the prior owner. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, the prior owner wanted to get out of it. He was an old man. And so he just gave it to me when he left. I was like, he just fucking gave you the clear. She goes, yeah, he was done. He was out of it. I was this number one person. And I was like, well, how did he come up with it? And she goes, because you think that the Claremont Lounge, which is where like strippers go to die.
Absolutely.
Fat, old strippers. It's fucking awesome. It is the epitome of a dive bar. Yeah. And like you go to dive bars and it's like, there's no fucking dust on the lamps.
Right.
There is like blood on the lamps.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I was asking her what happened. And she said, well, he was so old when he opened the club that he wanted to do a strip club. He couldn't see the girls. So then word got out that he would say yes to anybody. So all these old strippers that couldn't find work just started showing up. And he was like, yeah, sure. So it was like legitimately fucking organic. It wasn't like, hey, how can we be hip and cool? And and it was like he couldn't fucking see the strippers because he was so old. That's how it got started.
Bro. And y'all worried about Biden being president. He can still do it at the old age, man.
Yes.
Let's get it done, man.
I'm just picturing a girl come in for a trial and he's just like,
Yeah.
What I've often thought about in that story is like the first phone call from that. No, man, he's not even fucking, he can't see. Yeah, just come up down, he can't even see.
Right.
Girl, he just hired me. Yo, fat ass.
They got mother-daughter teams down there and shit.
Yeah. Oh, they got the one who smashes cans with her breast?
Yeah, Blondie.
Yeah.
And there's Margaret tried a great joke about that. She's like, at the Claremont Lounge, they have a stripper that'll crush empty beer cans with their breasts and another one that'll crush empty beer cans with their butt. So at the Claremont Lounge, the emphasis was on recycling.
Damn, that's funny.
Shout out to Margaret.
I got buddies who come and tackle. You know, Atlanta strip club is like,
Oh, yeah.
holds weight worldwide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is our tour.
Lots of songs.
Yeah. Yeah, people mention strip clubs. If you ain't saying Atlanta in the top 3, you ain't been strip clubbing. So I have buddies that will fly in from various cities, and they'll be like, "Hey man, that's the only time I'll go." They be like, "Man, take me to the strip club," and most of the time I'll always take them to the Claremont Lounge first. Well, they be like, "Hold on, bro, hold on, what are we doing?" And we'll stay like 30 minutes. I was like, "All right, bro, I'm bullshit. Let's go." You gotta go to like I like the Blue Flame personally.
I like Magic City.
That's inexpensive. That's
Yeah, I do like Magic City. Yeah.
I like value titties. I don't like.
Magic City though, baby. Come on, it's magical, baby. It's magic. We shout out to Magic.
Did you ever go to like Club Nicky or in back in the day?
Oh yeah, man. I'm fucking 53 years old. I've been coming partying in Atlanta my whole life. So I mean, there was Club Anytime. Do y'all remember? Y'all don't even know about Club Anytime? It was right down here in Midtown. It was
GC down here.
So it was right down here where the 999 building is, catty corner from the Federal building. It was a Club Anytime. It was open 24 hours a day. And it was the only liquor license in the city that was open 24 hours a day because they get kickbacks to the government. So that was where you went, starting at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning when all the other bars closed. It was chaos.
Oh, it's kind of like the way Crystal Palace was. So I'm from Atlanta originally.
Oh, I'm from here.
Okay.
Born and bred.
Okay, you from here. All right.
Yeah.
Good. You know what? That makes me feel even better. We got somebody that's locally grown.
Yeah, man, right across the street used to be the Stein Club. If you want to talk about some old school shit, Stein Club. They even have a big Facebook page these days still because it was so popular. It was like a bar that had all these little rooms in it, and they had like tons of books and games, and it was a hipster joint back. Because back when the Vortex opened here, it was fucking Shadyville here. Like, you think it's bad here? Like, they had to hire off-duty cops to walk people to and from their car to get in and out of this. Yeah. Like, they talked about when they moved from the 11th Street, which is where 11th Street pub is. That was the original Vortex.
Okay.
When they moved from that little place to here, this is the first place they went after that, all their friends were like, "You're fucking crazy. That place at Peachtree Street's dangerous." And I said, "We got such a great deal, we did it." So they went here. So then obviously it turned. And then they opened up the one at Little 5 Points, which is the one that's the icon with the big skull that you walk through.
Right.
And the great story about that is how that came about was Michael Benoit, who was one of the owners of the Vortex. They sold it at the beginning of this year, but he was the Vortex brain. Like, he is the Vortex. And so he's like he is 6'8". So he was in there building out that space on a ladder, working on shit in the ceiling, and some little fucking dork comes in and starts talking about what he can and can't do, because this was back when neighborhood planning units were starting to get power. And neighborhood planning units, for what you don't know, they're going to tell you what you can and can't do in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
They're trying to control it. But back then, they used to not have power. This is when they were getting it. The guy's like, "You can't do this." So Michael gets off the ladder and looks at the guy, and he's fucking 6'8". This is a little dude. He's like, "I don't care who the fuck you are, but when I open this place, you can't come in here." So he's so pissed off. He's like, "What can I do to piss the neighborhood off?" He goes, "I'm going to build a big fucking skull." That's why he built the skull, was to piss off the neighborhood plan.
Is he related to Chris Benoit?
No, different
Okay.
Benoit. I think it's spelled a little bit differently too, but that's the wrestler that killed himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Way to bring it up.
Yeah. Holy cow. Holy cow.
Y'all dark asses.
Oh, man, I had a question I was going to ask you, too, about that. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. What was the huge dick? That's Vortex.
They wanted me to model.
The show is not rated PG.
This is bad for the Weird Al Yankovic.
Welcome to the inaugural show.
This is bad for the Weird Al Yankovic crowd, for sure. So what happened was, so here's another great story. So the Vortex Midtown has a big, like, 6-foot penis when you first walk in. It's a big wooden penis, and got a great shape to it.
Veiny.
It's amazing how many people walk clean past it and don't realize it's it.
Yeah, they call it the Dick of Destiny. And it's like, you got to rub on it for good luck. So,
Stole my name.
okay. So there was a bartender here, who went to to an event in Asia. And in Asia, the longest running festival in the world for like 1,600 years, the longest running festival in the world is called the Penis Festival, because penises stand for fertility and good luck. And so they, like, you can Google this, but do it under an incognito so it doesn't start popping up. But like, They look like little kids sucking on penis-shaped lollipops. They carried big fucking phallic dicks carried through. There's like a big parade of big dicks, like a floats of big dicks, and like I said, little kids sucking on penis lollipops and shit. And so he came back and he brought back a regular sized dick. Well, regular for me, but a regular sized wooden dick. You know, they put it behind the bar, and he said, "Hey, this is for good luck." And so they put it behind the bar. The next day, a guy comes into the Vortex and says, "Hey, I'm a producer for a new show, and we want to feature the Vortex on our premiere episode." And that was Man versus Food. And so they're like, holy shit, the dick does bring good luck. And so they had it back there for a long time. And so then the bartender was leaving, and he's like, hey, I'm going to take my dick with me. Because he had it amongst all the liquor bottles in the back, so you didn't see it. And so then Michael was like, Michael Benoit again, he's like, what can I do? So he made a big fucking dick when you first walk in. And his mindset was always like, what can I do to keep people out of the Vortex? Because it's always so busy. And every time he did something to make people want to come more. It's that whole like anti-marketing. Yeah. Like, isn't it? This is an establishment of like, it's counterculture.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like, fuck you. And no, the customer is not always right. Have you met people?
Yeah.
You know?
The name itself is anti.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's where the dick of destiny comes from.
Okay. That is an interesting story.
Now, so people out there, like I said, Google Penis Festival, but do it incognito so it doesn't keep popping up.
Don't do it at work.
You might also like.
Right. You
might also enjoy.
Just
I just want to see. I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall when he went in there and placed the order to get it made.
That's it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Picture me as the guy. You want a what?
Yeah.
A what?
A sweet.
Okay.
Well, it's so funny because another story about the Penis Festival that I know about is there's a comedian that's gay, and he'd come out to his family. Finally came out to his family. Everybody knew he was gay. He went to go visit his brother in Asia that was in the military. Brother picks him up at the airport, and when they're driving back, it's the first time that they were talking about him being gay, and as they're driving back, they have to drive through the fucking Penis Festival. All the dicks here around them. As they're talking about how the brother's finally talking about being gay. Isn't that hilarious? That's like a fucking movie scene.
Yeah, yeah, you couldn't time that. The universe knew what they was doing that day.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. All right, so outside of running an awesome club, being a great dad, being a family man, you have found some time to produce a film.
Yeah, we've produced a couple films here. We got a good one coming out at the end of the year called Blood Mountain Massacre.
Yeah, I might say
wrote it, directed it. You're in it. You got a big start. Yeah, look at that. See you sliding in the questions to get.
Yeah. Make sure y'all check it out. So how did that come about?
Bob Place has always been making movies and all that stuff, and so I love him like a little brother. And we made one film in 2015 called American Dirtbags that didn't really,
which was a very slept-on film. That movie was free.
Yeah, and it was the money person behind that kind of fucked that up, but whatever. And so then he wanted to make another film, and it was after the pandemic, and he during the pandemic, he and a buddy Darby started writing it, and came and said, hey, we want to make another movie, and this is what it is. I was like, let's do it, man. Let's make another movie. And so he did the lion's share of the work for sure. They did a great job with it. I went to LA a couple times and got it sold to a distributor, so it's going to be coming out at the end of the year. And I don't know where it's going to go, because that's what they do is immerse, getting all the marketing material behind it and getting ready to go. So Blood Mountain Massacre, it's a funny film, man. You saw you were there for the screening, right?
Pretty good.
Were you there for the screening, right? Yeah, and we recorded the audience reaction. It averaged 2.15 laughs per minute. Like legitimate laughs per minute. And then there was like 22 major reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great film.
I judge movies my first time, especially at a theater, if I'm not ready to go. You ever be like, this is too long. You know what I mean? And I never felt that through that entire film. And I'm not saying it because I'm in it. I'm literally sitting there watching like, it's pretty damn good. It's pretty good.
So it's really it's a slasher comedy film, and at the very end it becomes really satanic. And during that satanic part, we actually had 15 people leave the theater.
Should we start that line again, anybody, guys?
That's mine.
Sorry.
Jared, you any louder?
Blank. So it's a slasher comedy film. It's very funny. It gets, like I said, 2.15 laughs per minute. But then at the end, it becomes really dark and very satanic. And we actually have about 15 people leave the theater because they couldn't take it anymore. A friend of mine's kid, who goes to like a Christian high school, was literally scared. He thought he was fucking literally scared. He was like, "You're fucking 16, dude." Bro.
He goes to the Christian high school.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was so funny too because another one, my friend brought his daughter and son that were younger, and I was like, just so you know, this is a slasher comedy film. It's got a lot of adult stuff in it. He's like, oh, they've got the internet. And then afterwards, she was like, what's gonorrhea? He had to answer all these questions along the way, and his wife was pissed. And I was like, don't blame me, man. I told you.
Man, you gotta have a talk.
At some point.
Yeah.
And you rather them talk about it by seeing it than feeling it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
With hope.
There's something going on down here. Something ain't right.
Yeah, you did a great job in it too, Plug.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
You know, I'm a bit of natural. Except for one part. But actually, you see the film. So you've been, last time we talked, you said you've been script discipline, you've been getting the scripting right.
Yeah, I've written another script, and I'm in the process of working on another one that I've been working on for a while with a big production company out of LA. They bought the rights to a Swedish film, and they're having me work with them and writing it all out. They hired somebody to redo the version for America, and they didn't like it. So then she and I have been talking about stuff. I actually hired her as a mentor to help me be a better movie producer. And as we talked and everything, she's like, hey, I want you to take a crack at this, because she's read my books. I've written a few books that she really liked and some other stuff. She's like, I think you can do this. So I gave them a sample scriptment, which is a difference between a script and a treatment. So it's basically like a long treatment. And we can hold.
Yeah, sorry, it is.
Who is that?
I'm in Martin, but it shouldn't pick up that
It's
delay.
kind of loud. Yeah, it's picking up.
Hey, do you know how much longer you're going to be moving bottles?
He's already gonna have you outside.
Is it? Okay. So if you go back to the part you were just talking about mentor.
Yeah, so I hired a mentor movie producer who's great out of LA, and as we've been talking and everything, and she's read my books that I've written, she's like, you might be the guy to write this for us. So I did a scriptment for them, which is a cross between a script and a treatment. So it's basically like there's like a 45-page treatment, and it has some dialogue, and she's like, hey, this is good, you need to flesh out some stuff. So that's what I'm working on now. As a matter of fact, that's my big thing tomorrow is writing. So get some more stuff on all that, which is, yeah.
So at this stage of your career, do you care? Because I know once the comic off time. So like, do you care more about or want to participate more in creating comedy films than doing stand-up yourself?
You know, man, I love stand-up. I always will. I mean, nowadays I'm getting into the roast battles that we're doing here. So I've got I did my first one this past week. I've got 3 more coming up over the next 2 months. That's where I'm excited. I get more excited about writing and then seeing it done. So like my stand-up, I got over it because I was doing the same fucking jokes. I would always come up with new stuff. There was always like the same opener, the same closer, and blah, blah. And I just was like, and then my wife got cancer, and then just said, I don't give a fuck about anything. And so then now I'm excited again because I'm in the roast battle. So I've got to write a bunch of new jokes. I have to, there's a deadline, right? And I'm going up against somebody else's new jokes. So it's more exciting for me. So I really think I'm enjoying the writing process a lot more these days.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta have to really be a good creator, especially with comedy, screenwriting. You have to have a love for the writing side. You can't sit down and get that part together.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Most comedians are lazy. They're not doing the writing, and I was just kind of like, And that's what I was kind of beating myself up because I was like, I'm not sitting down and writing my stand-up. I get ideas, I'll flush them out, I'll jump on stage, flush them out a little bit, and then I'll move on to the next one, move on to the next one. And it's like, and then like I said, my wife got cancer. We had to deal with all that crap. And now I'm back excited again because I'm writing for the roast battle.
She wife doing better now?
Yeah. She's good she's on the other end of it. Still, has some residue kind of shit we're dealing with, but it kind of just puts stuff in perspectives of like, I don't really care a fuck about making people laugh when I'm dealing with all that.
Yeah, I'm a badger. So, with all the relationships that you cultivated, you've made over these years, especially in comedy, I've always wondered, you ever thought about going into like management?
Man, that's a real common path for people that have clubs and shit, but no, it's not. That's not for me, man. It's like
Motherfuckers on your own.
What'd you say?
Motherfuckers on your own.
Well, no, I mean I help people all the time, as you know, right? And so one of my favorite compliments I ever got was from Natasha Leggero when I was giving her all kinds of stuff and we were advice and talking about stuff, and she didn't really need my advice. We were just talking business and doing things, and she said something like, "You should be charging people for all this stuff." I was like, "No, I just do it for free." She's like, "Wow, you're like a punk rock businessman." I was like, yeah, when it comes to comedians, I am. But they don't have any fucking money. It's like, so I'm always helping. Like Laughing Skull Festival. It's the #1 festival for up-and-coming comedians. I lost $18,000 on that last year. I've never made money on my festival. We've done it 14 times. Damn. Right? But I do it because it helps the comedy community so much. Like, how many people have gotten, their careers have popped because of that? And it's not even like now you're made. It's like now you're on people's radar. Now you got shit going on. And it also helps keep the Atlanta comedy scene in the national spotlight. So it's a loss leader for me, but that's why I do it, is because it really does help comedians.
True shit. True shit. I always wonder that though, because especially somebody who, the thing about management agents is all that. It's like once you find somebody who is on the up and up, the game needs them. Because it's so much shady business that goes on, you know what I mean?
So what I do is I point them to the right people.
Yeah.
So I've had hundreds of calls over the years like, hey, I'm talking to these people, what do you know about it? And I'm like, this, and this. And it's on the other way too. Like, hey, I'm talking to such and such comedian, what do you know about it? Be like, I'll tell them, like, person's a good comic, good person. They want to know what they are about a person. Because they can see the comedy. Like, how does this person behave off stage? And so I'm honest with it, right? So I learned early on in this business, 50% of this business is what you do off stage.
Oh, absolutely. That's one thing I tell the class. Don't be a dick.
Don't be
fun to be around. If you're fun to be around, you could get further than somebody who's talented but a jerk.
That's right.
Just be fun to be around. You got any comedians that you would never work with again?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's not a list, but there's a fucking list.
Yeah. I always, and I ask you that more so as a club owner.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a comic side, because we all got comics. I'm friends with everybody, but I don't like everybody. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So I ask you that more as a business owner. Is it anybody that you come down on a Saturday and be like, hey, let's just cancel this Sunday show on that guy?
No, I've never done it like that, but basically something happens and I'm like, we're not working with them anymore. Yeah, fuck that. No, whatever they have on the books, that's going to stay on the books. Although there have been some times where I took it off. I can't remember who it was. It was some comic that was talking shit and just doing all this stuff, and I found out about how he's hitting on girls and making them, not hitting on, like making them uncomfortable, touching them and doing all this shit. And it was about to be a resident in a couple months.
Ooh.
Which a resident comedian is, they're on the show for every show for 30 days, the whole month, right? And I was like, I don't want that behavior at the club. I had to reach out to them and be like, hey, you're scheduled to be the resident comedian, but you've done X, Y, and Z. I can't have that at my club. You're no longer welcome at Lapis Lounge, and your residence is taken away. And it caused a shitstorm, but guess what? Then everybody came out. He's like, can you believe Lapis Lounge did this? And everybody came out and said, yeah, we absolutely can fucking believe they did that. Thank God we don't have to deal with it. And he moved. He hadn't moved. Because nobody would fuck with him.
Damn, Mag Jackson. Now I'm my ass. I got an interesting story between. This is what I knew Marshall was a stand-up dude. So a couple years ago, it's been a minute now, but I dated a comic, right? Don't ever do that. Right. I dated a comic, and we had a little altercation here at the club, and I ended up getting blacklisted from the club for a while, and I had to reach out. I'm like, I didn't think it was right. Basically, what happened. You know, we ain't got to get into details. But I reached out to Marshall personally, and I was like, "Hey, man, this is what happened. This is a situation." And Marshall was like, "First of all, I appreciate you coming to me with this, but who hasn't had an argument with a girlfriend?" He was like, "You could have, bro."
You're right.
Real motherfucker right there. They was trying, man, that shit was wild. But yeah, don't bad comments.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's two. You can't have two crazies in a relationship.
Yeah, bro. Because you know what happens when I've done it, I end up helping them more with their material than my own.
Yeah.
And then they either quit or just don't be good at it. So, yeah. That's that.
And then you got to tell them, no, you can't be on the show I'm on.
And you want to.
Right.
You want to. So we were talking really quick, man, about, I was telling you that I was getting into the cruise ship markets. I was getting into the cruise market. And you was like, yeah, I ain't doing that. What's your stance on?
So cruise ships are great because they definitely pay you bills. And it's, you got to work, an hour a night, and you're the rest of the time you're on a cruise ship, and they'll fly you in, sometimes they'll fly you out. The challenge with it is you don't want to water your material down for the cruise ship audience. Like when comedians that are cruise ship comics come here, I can see it.
Really?
Yeah, totally. But like I've got one of my best friends is Tom Simmons. He's a cruise ship comic, but he's fucking great.
Yeah.
And he'll do the family shit for the early show, but he's also doing the late show where he can do what he wants.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's the challenge of it. And then, the people that really cater to that audience, it can fuck up your comedy.
I could see that.
Right?
I'm authentically myself. Yeah. So I tell people on the ships, like, they'll come up to me after my adult show and they'll go, "Hey, we were at all the shows, but don't take this the wrong way, but your adult show is way better." I go, "I fucking know that." Right? Because I'm not a clean comic. I just know how to work clean. It is a difference.
Disney clean?
You're down, do not call me, bro. I'm going to spook your crowd. But no, that makes sense. But like you say, man, the money is good to the point where it's like, you damn near can't turn it down, right? If they call you like,
and you tell it, so you're going to take me to the Caribbean,
right?
And you're going to pay me, and I got to work an hour a night, and then especially if you're single, right? Look at those long titties.
Yeah, as
many long titties as you want.
I'm talking about this, a long titty. All right, so real quick before you go, man, last question of the day. What's next? What's next for you? What's next for the club?
I'm always working on the shit. Right now I'm working on, I'm trying to help build the roast battle here. I'm a big roast battle fan. Working on this script. I've got an app I'm working on that's comedy based, and I'm always tinkering and trying to figure some shit out. I've done a lot of stuff over the years, and it's always trying to make sure it's comedy based. And there's been several ventures that I've start to climb up the ladder and then realize it's on the wrong wall. But yeah, so I'm still out there plugging away. Like I said, I got a bunch of writing I got to do. I'm working on some other shit. So yeah, I'm most excited about the script writing.
Yeah,
just because if you've never written a script, it's fucking great, man. Because it's basically you're figuring out a big puzzle. You know where you want to start. You know where you want to end.
Yeah, that middle.
And you got to fill that middle, and then you're playing God.
Yeah.
Right?
Literally, you're creating a world.
You're creating a world. You're playing God while figuring out a puzzle. It's so much fun. I love it. I get lost. I will get lost when I start writing just on those scripts. And then, of course, writing the roast jokes are also just a blast as well, just because, you get to be fucking edgy. But you know what I've learned about roast jokes? The sillier jokes are better than the dark jokes.
Really?
Yeah, I'd learned that this recently. Think about it. Like, y'all saw the Tom Brady roast, right? One of the most quoted jokes from the Tom Brady roast was Nikki Glazer's when Gronk said, "You know that not real money." Right? That's not a dark joke. It's a silly fucking joke. And it's like the most quoted joke from the Tom Brady roast.
Yes.
So, like, being silly beats being dark. But you can still be a little bit, obviously, dark. It's a roast joke. But, like, if you're just like, "Oh, I hope your mom kills herself," it's like, whoa.
I think one of the drawbacks to roast for comedians is when comedians are going against other comedians, we want to say what we think is funny. And we typically like the darkest stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you're looking at the audience is not as dark as we are.
Correct.
So our lighter stuff would hit harder with them. than our darkest stuff.
I would say that's a valid.
So we say that to each other all the time. Like he'll hit me with a joke. He'll be like, "Hey, what you think about this joke?" And I'd be dying laughing. Then we'll both say together, "Yeah, but you can't say that on stage." Or you can, but you already know this gonna be.
You can't be ready to push back.
You know, like one of the darkest comics out there is Doug Stanhope.
Oh,
I fucking love Doug Stanhope. As a matter of fact, here's an interesting story. When I took over the Funny Farm, and I realized I could book anybody I wanted to book, I booked Doug Stanhope. And you know who I had for his opening act because I was friends with him? God, I cannot believe it. Finesse Mitchell. So Finesse Mitchell opened for Doug Stanhope. Like, what the fuck? I didn't know what I was doing. Obviously, I ran into Finesse in L.A. recently. We talked about that. He goes, yeah, man. And I was like, and I had so many people pissed off at me, but they loved Finesse because it was a Roswell crowd, you know? And one lady was like, I can't believe you have that guy on stage. You know how much money's up here? He's up here making fun of our God and our government. And I was like, you're the reason I booked him, lady. And, but Doug Stanhope, who has, like, considered one of the darkest comics out there, blah, blah, blah. Also, what I learned from the pandemic, because, you know, everybody had to keep pushing shows back and pushing shows back. The comedians that kept pushing the shows back, a lot of times the venues would get pushed back, get angry. I can't believe it now. Doug Stanhope's audience was the most cordial to the venues, is what I learned.
Yeah.
They were, like, cool with it. They weren't offended. They didn't get upset. Yeah. Like, they weren't the easy upset crowd. They're just like, they roll with life. They just want to have fun. Which is interesting, right? Like, that audience of dark comedy fucking just dealt with it better.
Dude, he has a joke about him being at a football game and he's admiring the asses of the guys that's on the field. And he's like, some of them don't have thigh pads on and this, that, and he was like, he just imagined himself running out of the stands and he got a beer in one hand and flip-flops on and he flying across the field like that, and then he basically rakes the quarterback. Like he pulls his pants down and rakes the quarterback on the field. And he said the crowd stopped cheering for him. And he was like, I pulled his dreads back and I was just fucking him in the ass. And I was like,
I understand, Hope.
Bro, and this joke goes on for like 6 minutes.
And that's a short bit for him.
That's a short. I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, this is amazing that this crowd is staying with him through this whole joke. It's just horrible all the way.
Right. But like, how great would it be to have that audience that it just like, they just want to laugh. They just want to be happy. Yeah. They fucking roll with shit. Yeah. Right? Versus like, you know how many people were fucking getting upset that Jeff Dunham kept getting pushed back?
Yeah. Oh, it's just,
I can imagine those puppets.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't realize, one of the darkest jokes is why the chicken crossed the road. Like, a lot of people don't realize that joke is about suicide.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah. Why the chicken crossed the road to get to the other side.
Interesting.
The other side is death. Or frying pan. Or frying pan. Which is still,
wow.
I don't know, that's living in somebody. I don't know, really hard. I don't know how to pull down.
All right, man. That's it, man. We're going to get out of here, man. Once more time, thank you for Marshall, man.
Thank you.
You know, real quick before you go, first time that I heard your name, I thought that you were the guy that used to own the strip club. You know, that was Marshall Chiles. Not really? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. No, Mike Chiles. I thought that was like, I was like, I wonder is he related to Mike Chiles? They got to say it. And you know, Mike Chiles was Andy Young's nephew. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Well, you just learning me something today, man. I'm going to learn you, boy. I'm going to learn you something.
Well, thank you for coming out, man, hanging out with us, man. We enjoyed it. Got a lot of insight, man. This has been the first episode of Laughing About me, Plug Chairman,
Earth,
and this asshole.
Horse.
And Mr. Marshall Chiles. Y'all, check us out at the Laughing Skull Monday through Sunday. We do a comedy every damn night.
Peace.